They make Molotov cocktails. You don't know anything about this homeless guy other than the fact that he's down to party.
And
Like,
also, he's badass.
yeah. He's just like, I'm bored. Let's go. Let's go party.
Sure. Let's go. Let's go do whatever it is we're going to do with this. Hello, and thanks for joining us for another episode of the What a Disaster podcast, where we watch and review a disaster movie as close to weekly as we can possibly stand. I'm Gregory Allen, and as usual, I'm joined by Richard Sawasinski.
So we passed a strip club on the way here called Wet.
This says pause for you to say hello. What is that?
That was my
Is that
hello.
hello? Is that hello?
Hello.
And like,
Would you go to a strip club called Dry? Or
But it was wet with two T's.
oh, there's two T's? I would definitely go.
And a mud flap girl and a drop of water as the logo.
I would not go to a strip club called Dry with two Y's, but if it was just the one, yeah, I would go.
All right. Well, hi, Greg.
Hi. And also the Liz Bador.
Hi.
And this week we are joined by a very, very special guest, Catherine.
Hello.
Hi. So today, Catherine's with us, and she recommended the Korean movie The Host. It was like a 2006 movie, and it's also known as a word I can't pronounce. It was what did Google say? Gwoemul? Gwoemul? It looks like Gwoemul, but it was totally wrong.
Right, which means monster, translated from Korean.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, fine. It was a monster.
It was there was a monster
There's
in this movie.
a large monster.
Right. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
It's awesome. We love new guests.
Big fan of the podcast.
New guests and Brian are the people that we want on the show as often as we can. Yeah. So what made you pick this particular movie, The Host?
Well, it is by one of my favorite Korean directors, and I just wanted to introduce a little Korean cinema into the podcast and introduce it to all of you.
Don't you try and give us culture. We don't need it.
But
Look around my house. Everything is culture here.
But seriously, though, this movie's got everything related to a disaster. There's a giant monster. There's like a breakout contagion virus. Or is there?
Ooh,
and then
a conspiracies.
There's government stuff. There's flames.
The American government is screwing stuff up. I mean, this movie it's got it all.
It's got everything you
need. It's got
need.
everything.
Yeah.
There's heartstrings, tugging at the heartstrings.
Lots of tugging at the heartstrings.
Oh yeah, there's some stuff in here that was pretty. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yes, and archery.
Oh, you know what? Have we done any movies that have had archery yet? I can't think of any archery in our movie.
Nothing.
This may be a first.
Well, you got
it's
it
our
now.
first Korean movie. It's our first archery movie. It's our first weird like multi-fish monster movie. I mean, this is
It's like an amphibious. Yeah, I love that.
I think
we should have champagne.
This movie is missing a helicopter though.
I was wondering about it. I did not remember seeing any helicopters.
There was a rat though.
There were rats, or a rat at the very least. Maybe there were two. There was at least there were multiple
the same
rats.
rat twice.
So once again, this is a 2006 movie. It was written and directed by Jun Ho-bong, who also wrote, and did he direct Snowpiercer too? Right?
Yeah, which I was super surprised about.
And everybody knows that Snowpiercer is the best movie about a train in a post-apocalyptic ice age.
It might be my favorite train movie, if I really have to think about
Under
it.
What about
Siege
the
2?
Polar Express?
Ooh, and the Polar Express.
Well,
but the Polar Express doesn't have Captain America or Tilda Swinton.
It does
not.
have Tom Hanks though. And if you've ever looked at Tom Hanks' Instagram, he doesn't post often, but he always ends them with just Hanks at the end. I'm considering Giant Crazy Irradiated Monster as a disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Cloverfield.
like the family has disasters. Then there's like the government's trying to say it's a disaster. There's
There
all
are
sorts of
certainly different
disasters.
layers of disasters, all kind of just one big disaster cake. I got to pronounce these names.
Siju.
Kang Ho Song and
he's a very famous actor in Korea.
and Donna Bay both have roles in Snowpiercer. Donna Bay is also in the Netflix show Sense8. So these are a couple of Korean actors that we've probably had some sort of experience with at some point.
Well,
too.
yeah, Kang Ho Song's actually in he's in Snowpiercer. He has a big role in Snowpiercer, and He also is in the Good,
Good, the Bad, and the Weird.
Bad and Weird, which is a good movie. I have to see that again. It's pretty
Snowpiercer's
awesome.
really good.
Snowpiercer's really good.
Well, this director also is responsible for Okja,
yeah.
which has gotten a lot of attention lately.
The Sad Giant Pig movie on Netflix.
Yep.
Either the one you can just tell is sad from the picture
The
of the
one that
little
you
creature.
know is
But
going
it
to
is
make
so
you cry.
good.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into the thick of it here. The host had a budget of 12 billion Korean won,
Korea won,
which is like $9 million. In
2006
real money,
USD money. Yeah.
American McBucks.
Adjusted for inflation, I might add.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Made like $8 million opening day, so it pretty much just made back almost every penny
First day.
immediately. Yeah, that's
the
a big
Koreans
deal.
love this movie, I guess.
Grossed almost
They went
$90
up.
million
Lots of people.
worldwide.
Yeah.
I mean,
That was like
everybody
opening day
loved
in
it.
Korea, which is great.
Right,
$8
right.
million opening day in Korea. That's a good showing in America, and we throw lots of money at
The
movies
United States was not as big a fan. Opening weekend, it made like $300,000. But to be fair, it probably was undermarketed here.
here. Yeah. You want an interesting fact about this one, Greg? That I didn't write on here. This was one of Quentin Tarantino's top 10 favorite movies.
He likes feet too.
Some people really do like this movie, and he makes good films.
He does.
What is he likes feet all about?
He has a foot fetish.
He has a serious foot fetish, and I can't
is that a
watch his
problem?
movies.
Like he
because
shows
it's
feet a
apparent-
lot,
like
or you're
lot.
actually aware that
He
has
legitimately has
It's
a foot
very
He
fetish.
shows
Has he
feet
talked
a lot
about it?
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know he shoots feet a lot. Like
Yeah. He's open about
Uma
it.
Thurman's feet were really prominent in the Pulp Fiction,
Yeah.
And Kill Bill.
and well, of course, Kill Bill. She was always.
But I didn't know Quentin Tarantino liked this film.
Yeah, he did. He
That's-
put in his top. He has his top 10 must-watch films. It's like he's really influenced by this movie.
I
I
mean,
mean, it's a later film for somebody like him. It's a later film. You would
not
think.
to spoil our reviews at the end, but
Yeah.
I found myself drawn to this movie. For a 2-hour long movie. It did not feel like 2 hours, which is a good sign.
Didn't
works.
feel like Armageddon or Titanic, that's for sure.
God,
Oh, no.
Titanic felt like 10 minutes. That movie could have gone on for
Liz
much
already
longer.
knows
I
this
loved
about me.
every second of it.
But I've never seen Titanic.
Well, we're
Lucky.
stopping the episode to go watch Titanic.
We'll be a little
See you
tired
in
and a little
2.5
drunker when we get back.
With Christina, Hannah, I can't remember your name anymore, Catherine. We're gonna have to figure this out before the end of the episode. All right, we're gonna throw it to a quick break while we sort out how to pronounce Catherine in Korean, and we'll be back.
You'll be back.
I'll be back. Everybody else is gone already.
We're done already.
Yeah,
I'm out.
we lost our first guest really early on this week,
She drove
and I'm
us.
proud.
She drove us. Bye.
You don't have to clean up now. Why don't you dump this first?
But that's formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde, to be precise. To be even more precise, dirty formaldehyde. Every bottle is coated with layers of dust. Pour them into the sink.
Excuse me?
Just empty every bottle to the very last drop.
It's just these are toxic chemicals, and the regulations state that.
Pour them right down the drain, Mr. Kim.
And we're back.
Love it.
We are so back.
I've
We're gonna
been
use
back.
that for every break
Yeah.
now, I think. Why do we even bother with
I
it?
don't know.
Can you talk like that the rest of this episode?
Absolutely.
Oh God, it's great.
Fun fact, Liz, I love professional wrestling. So this is
You know what another great fact is?
The opening of this movie.
The opening of this movie. It opens in a morgue where a white guy wearing scrums. What the fuck are scrums? And so what's happening? Like, there's an old dude. Who was that old guy? He was in stuff.
He's in A Walking Dead. The director begged him to be in this.
Oh, did he?
Which is, I always love that when the directors beg somebody to be in like just a small little role, but they really need it. They just feel it's important.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, he was like, please do this.
Herschel.
Herschel.
Yeah.
Hey, Herschel's in this movie. Anyway, Herschel's in this movie and yelling at an Asian man. I'm assuming it's a Korean man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Herschel in this movie is a U.S. military doctor.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, you know what I hate? Dust. I hate dust.
Dust.
Can you dump these chemicals down the sink because the bottles are dusty? That is so wasteful.
And the Asian man, Kim was his name. I don't know how I figured that out, but his name was Kim. And
Yeah.
he said, no, that's formaldehyde. That's against the law.
Yeah, you're not supposed to dump that down the damn drain. You're
Guess
supposed
who
to
was
dispose
right?
of it properly.
but he got an order. So Kim
Herschel's
actually, I think, was an American
you'll-
too. But,
You'll
he was
dump
Asian.
that shit, you little shithead.
Yeah, so he did it. He dumped it. It was a mess.
Yeah, there was dust all over the bottle, and this is the first part of the movie where you start to see like the use of smoke
Yeah.
from the director.
I love it. Dry
throughout
ice.
the movie is just like smoke.
Want to know
or
a fun fact?
mist.
This was a factual thing that happened. This movie was inspired by a real life event. This really happened. They dumped like all this formaldehyde into this Korean
Yeah,
river.
right. Well, the Korean River's big.
The
Yeah.
river.
The River,
The Korean River's
The Han
big.
River.
the Han River
So
in Korea.
the anti-American sentiment it's anchored in reality. That
Yeah.
actually happened. Dicks. We're dicks.
Big old sacks of dick.
Big old sacks, big old bags of dicks. That's what we are. We're just a big old sack of
So you
tied
go
up
find
dicks.
Mr. McFarland and you tell him to fuck off for being a fuck.
Yeah, he was a fuck in this
He
movie.
didn't even go to jail.
No,
he was
he didn't go to
convicted
jail.
twice, right?
He was convicted twice, never went to jail.
Yeah.
The American,
Fuck off, Mr. McFarlane. You're a fuck.
Right.
the Americans wouldn't give him over, which is bullshit because he willfully broke the law. You know,
Yeah, knowingly and willfully chose to break the law.
I don't.
No consequences. It's
Yeah.
just the environment, right?
Yeah.
It's just like
Just the
people's
planet.
lives and
Yeah.
the places
Futures.
where animals live that we might, want to eat. And
The director said that he directed the monster, whatever that meant. I didn't dig too far into it, but I'm guessing they had somebody motion capturing some of these.
yeah, there had
things.
to have been something.
Well, one of the Korean actors is the voice of the monster, and it might have been Who Did It.
Yeah,
But he's
okay.
also in a lot of different Korean movies.
Yeah,
like
he's
he's in
credited.
Old Boy. And
At some
stuff
point,
like that.
yeah, we should
Ooh,
hunt
boy.
down.
Old boy.
We should
There's a
hunt
movie.
down who may
Yeah,
have
it's
done the
a fucking
mocap for
movie.
that if it's possible to find
All
out.
What I
Good
love
times.
about Korean film is that they can go dark, and they go dark.
They go so dark.
He goes
They
super
definitely-
fucking dark.
They will go very bloody. They will make it very bloody. They'll go all the way with it, but it works.
There
in
is
an artful
definitely
way.
a difference between Korean cinema and how dark they're willing to go versus what Americans are expected to watch in mainstream cinema.
Well, they tone shift, and Americans, let's read an American film review. If you tone shift too much, people criticize you. But this movie
Right.
tone shifts.
Well,
like,
this director's known for that.
yeah, it tone shifts a lot, and it's jarring at first. As an American, your first thought when somebody tone shifts is this must be a bad movie, but it's not. It's a great movie.
So it's not necessarily about tone shift. It's about how well you can shift tones and still manage to keep the story and characters
I agree.
cohesive. Gangdu, right? We're introduced to Gangdu. He looks kind of chubby, but not chubby at the same time somehow.
yeah,
He's got bleach blonde hair and a daughter.
the first time you see him, he's sleeping on the job, a family-owned snack cart.
Yep. Father
Oh,
comes in,
data.
wakes him up, and helps someone buy stuff.
Well, and then he steals a squid leg from the squid because that was a big
Because
ordeal.
nobody can count the legs on a squid when they buy it.
How
for
many
a
do they
snack.
have?
Apparently 9,
9.
Yeah.
9 squid legs.
but this one had 8,
Uh-oh.
and he ate the best one.
His dad was like, dude, fucking people come here for the squid legs. That's what they like the best of. But you meet everybody all at once, kind of, right? Because his daughter shows up and they go inside the snack cart to watch his sister shoot some bow and arrows because she's a champion archer.
It's Namju.
Namju.
And then the other uncle,
Drunkle.
is Nam-il.
Nam-il in Drunkle. Yeah, so we're introduced to some of these characters. We get the vibe that, God damn it, what's his damn name? Dad.
Gangdu.
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 Gangdu is not necessarily the most responsible man in the universe.
No.
He beers up his daughter pretty
No, because his
good.
daughter shows up and she
Right
goes,
away.
where were you at parent-teacher conferences? Like,
And he's
my
like, "Here,
your
have a
drunk
beer."
uncle was there. Drunk uncle was
Drunkle
there.
showed up.
But you get the sense that he really does care about
But
his
Drunk-
Oh, he
showed up.
absolutely cares about his family, but he does not care enough about his family.
Not that much.
Yeah.
He's a
He
little
would do
flighty.
anything for them until it involved effort.
Well, maybe he was ashamed of himself and sent drunk uncle because he wears a suit.
Yeah, drunk was his
That's
salary,
probably,
man.
he's a college grad, the drunk uncle.
Drunk got booze on his breath, though.
So, like, this family's a little band of misfits, right?
Right,
But they,
yeah.
the Park
But
family.
yeah,
It runs the
Talented
gamut
misfits.
from
talented.
like
misfits,
still
right?
working for the family business and slacking to Olympic class archer.
But flawed Olympic class archer.
Everybody's flawed.
Yeah. But Gangdu has to go take some beers to these customers
Mhm.
on the who are out by the river because he took a leg off of their squid. It was a pretty strange scenario. But
Yeah, I mean, it was the best
He
leg,
ate
right?
their food before serving it to them and then had to give
Like,
them
if I-
apology beers.
If
Yeah.
I order a 10 chicken nugget meal and I get 9,
Will you notice?
I would notice.
Absolutely.
absolutely. And you would expect a free beer.
Especially with kids, because I'm like, I mean,
You
I know
fucker.
exactly where these are going. 10 of them are supposed to be in my mouth, and I didn't get 10. I mean, I don't get 10 with kids anyway.
Yeah,
But you reduce it by 1 and it gets, that's a big percent. That's 10% of my nugs. If you take a nug.
that's a big chunk of nugs.
And I mean, one of 9 squid tentacles is,
apparently that's the best part, is what the grandpa was saying.
I feel like this scene really got to you all.
I will eat any damn
It didn't look
thing.
appetizing to me. It
It looks good to me.
Did it look
Everything
good
looks
to you?
good to me though.
Have you ever had?
If I know it's
squid
food,
like that?
it looks
Has anybody
good.
had squid like that?
I have not had squid like that, but I will say there were a lot of noodles in this movie, and I was pro noodle.
Every time
Yeah,
I saw
pro noodle
the
for
noodles
sure.
at the end when they were eating,
Mm-hmm.
those noodles had me.
Dreams.
There was one point. So they're inside. Gangdu goes inside and watches archery. Watches his sister do some archery stuff with his daughter.
Yeah, he's there with the daughter. The daughter's like,
Hyun So.
everybody's so excited for her.
Hyunsu.
But he gives her a beer.
You got it, Liz.
Hyun
Hyunsu.
Hyunsu.
Hyunsu, and he gives her a beer. So I looked at the drinking age, and it is 20 in Korea, but nobody cares.
But your
It's
notes
not
here
as
are
strictly
fascinating.
enforced.
You wrote the drinking laws are that the legal drinking age in South Korea is not strictly enforced, but the drinking age is still 20, or more specifically, January 1st of the year the person turns 20, since everyone is considered a year older when the year turns.
So do they just get all the binge drinking in Korea out of the way on January 1st then?
Yeah, that's where I told you, like, Gangdu comes down with the beers. He brings the beers to the customers he took the squid legs from.
Yep.
And when he's trying to give them the beers, they're not interested in it because they're all staring at this weird monster that's
Bat
sitting.
thing hanging off a
Hanging
bridge.
Yeah.
under the bridge.
It looks like a xenomorph at that point from Aliens. I'm like,
Now,
what
how is
that
that the
fucking
first
thing?
time anybody has seen that
This
damn
is-
thing?
Well, but it's not the first time, right? Because they saw him in the water.
Oh, that's true. That's true. But I mean,
But-
how did it get that big
It
and
got really big.
uncontrollable? And how is
Chemicals.
that I mean, it's little
Chemicals.
nitpicks. I mean,
Chemicals.
clearly things needed to happen.
Radiation and chemicals and
You don't know how long it's been eating people and growing and growing and growing.
That's
Why
true,
are these
but
people not getting noticed?
why is it just suddenly starting to attack giant swaths of people? Because it's been in that same area the whole time.
because they threw trash at it.
Not like it's suddenly.
Yeah, they
They threw trash at it. Remember, they're like, oh, it likes the
they
beer.
poked the bear.
Okay.
That makes sense.
I'll go with that.
Another pollution story. Everybody threw all this trash into the river, and he was like, "What the fuck? This is my river."
It's my house, man.
Yeah,
Quit fucking with my house.
you guys look delicious. Let's find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been eating stuff that just swam. Now you guys are.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have some land sushi.
So that's when we get to see the monster for the
yeah,
first
we get
time.
them. Man, that monster's
It drops
so weird looking.
It drops from the bridge, really in a weird, like kind of like aliens-esque kind of way. And you're like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, and it is a very what the fuck is that kind of monster. I don't think it's that cool looking, at least initially.
Really?
My first impression was that's kind of dumb. Like it's kind of
Oh.
a dumb looking monster. But
But I hope you warm up to it because
I
when
do.
it starts showing you what it can do.
I do warm up to it because that thing, it looks like a weird tadpole, kind of like a giant tadpole
Yeah.
with a weird mouth and a bunch of extra fish just kind of growing out of it. Like it's
Yeah.
got little fish tails everywhere on it in weird spots.
And the
and
fish fall off at
legs.
one point. It's weird.
It's
Yeah.
super duper weird.
But that's when it starts attacking people. It jumps up on the side of this riverbank. It just goes nuts.
Oh, it goes ham on people.
It goes. And this is.
The people that Gangdu was serving beers to and eating
Mhm.
tentacles from.
We had our first
And
death
throwing-
earlier when the
throwing
guy
things
committed
at it.
suicide. We had our first death earlier when the guy jumped off the bridge and committed suicide.
Oh yeah.
This is our first death from the monster.
Which do we count? Let's count both.
Let's count both. This will.
I mean, it's pretty close in the movie anyway,
Yeah,
chronologically
you know what?
speaking.
Fine, they're dead.
Yeah,
Whatever,
they're
they're dead.
They're dead.
Dead people are dead.
They're dead.
It was a lot of carnage.
Yeah,
you know
but
what?
people weren't running, right? So this monster is
Not that
chasing
hard.
people, eating them, and people were just standing around watching it. Like, what is that?
I gotta be honest. I might also freeze.
That I feel
Could
like
you imagine seeing
exactly. I feel like this was one of the more realistic ones in that people freeze and watch, and not everybody is immediately dismembered.
that?
Like
And,
any
people
other
are trying
movie,
to film it on their phone.
an American movie especially. So there's a part where it like jumps into the trailer, like this tractor trailer thing,
Yeah.
and
like
a
a
bunch of
portable
people are in
classroom
there.
kinda-
Right. And in an American movie, it would have just been like blood shooting out of the windows or something, and bones and limbs. In this one, it's very clearly not just murdering everybody in there.
No.
And they're trying to escape, and they have the chance to escape. And like I said, any American movie, they would have all been dead.
Yeah, and
And that didn't happen there. They even managed to break open the other door and people get out and get away from this thing.
you meet the only American in this movie who's redeemable, and that's the there's just this American soldier, white guy dressed in like.
Was he a soldier?
Yeah, it turns out later he was a soldier.
Oh, yeah.
You
That's
find
the
that out
guy.
later,
Yep, I
remember?
But you don't
forgot
know
about
at the time. He's just they're just speaking
It's just
English
a
all of a
guy.
sudden. You're like,
Right.
why do I hear English in this movie? And it's because this guy's trying to help, and his girlfriend's like, don't help, and he's like, I gotta help, and he ends up getting his arm crushed. He's actually Gangdu's really helpful too. Those two together are actually really trying to help people. It's one of the Gangdu's more redeeming scenes, and the soldier gets hurt, but he helps a lot of people. Gets his arm crushed, and Gangdu actually saves him with a sign, which happens a couple of times in this movie. But he picks up a sign and.
Yeah, they end where it began with that, but we'll have
which is
to
great.
save that, I think.
Yeah, which is great. And he hits him with the sign, and for the time being, saves that soldier's life, and takes the heat. Gangdu isn't afraid to put the monster's like attention on himself.
Yeah.
Which is super.
He goes
brave.
out of his way to make sure that
He's an idiot, but he's brave. He's a brave idiot. That's for sure.
right. A Bridiot.
A Bridiot. Yeah.
Yeah, we get a lot of Bridiots in these disasters.
We do get a lot of
I
Bridiots.
feel like people underestimate him, just like they kind of underestimated the monster at first too.
But then when you try to warm up to him, he lets you down in this movie multiple times. You're like, "Go, Gangdu's got to figure it out now." Everybody's being mean to him. Then he does something really stupid and gets somebody hurt or killed, and you're like, "Oh, never mind."
Well, he suffers a lot in this movie.
Yeah.
Period. I mean, this is the point of the movie where something happens to his daughter.
Yeah, well, yeah, like because they're running away, and his daughter runs out. They see the commotion as Gangdu runs up and grabs her and goes, "Let's go!" and grabs her hand. And they run, and the monster's chasing them, and his daughter and Gangdu both fall, and he reaches, grabs her hand, and takes off running without looking. He has the wrong girl's hands.
He did not grab his daughter's hand.
No.
He has a stranger and just takes off, and his daughter gets taken by the monster. The monster is a people collector.
Yeah.
It was kind of what it turns out to be. We're not there yet. But
He takes off with her across the water, and she's presumed dead
right
at this point.
Yep. And the monster takes off, and the people are basically kind of herded up at this point. I mean, obviously. Oh no.
So as you
That's
can,
not herded. They're not herded up. We've got the memorial with all the pictures of the victims.
They went to the gymnasium, which is
Yep.
what you do after tragedy, right? You go to.
Well, I mean,
a
it's
gymnasium.
the pictures. It's the memorial service. It's
Yeah.
pictures of all the victims, and people are going to pay their respects. And
I feel like people are staying there too, like because their houses and stuff get all screwed up. And they're all
Okay.
victims.
I mean, there
don't
was
know.
still a lot of
I think
reasons
it's like
to
a
be there.
vigil
Yeah.
type thing.
It seemed
Okay.
like a vigil.
But they were. That's when the whole family gets together. That's when you get to meet Drunkle,
Right. We meet Drunkle and
Archery Aunt.
Yeah, Shooty Ant shows up.
Yeah.
They get in there, and a guy comes in a hazmat suit and is like, "So, if anybody here is like, kind of been near the monster, can you let us know?" And nobody really raises their hands.
Who would be like,
Somebody's like,
oh,
Why
me?
don't you tell us what's going on first, and then maybe we'll talk about
Except for
what's
Gangdu.
going on.
He's like, I did.
Yeah,
I
Gang
touched
Dude
it.
just throws his hands up. Yeah, man, fucking take me away. That's probably what's going to
It's like
happen.
blood splattered on my face.
That's not going to be a problem. And they were like, get him. There was also a little bit before that when everybody got together. They had the crying scene. You couldn't at first. I couldn't figure out it was supposed to be funny or
I
it was
knew
supposed
it
to be
was
sad.
supposed to be funny.
It was
Like
sad.
a little black
There was
humor moment.
yeah, it was a very tense moment about
was-
the family.
It was black humor though. That's why when they crawled around the floor, they kept laughing. They kept
There's
like
someone
crying.
that's like, if anyone has left a blue Kia Sorrento out in the parking lot, please come retrieve it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was some jokes going on in that.
Like that's what I love about this movie and this director. He just is able to like throw that in there without jolting the whole movie. It just
Right.
naturally fit.
I mean, if you think about it, everybody there is grieving. That is a wall of corpses basically, and life still goes on. And that's kind of what I took from a lot of
Yeah.
this movie was this monster's out there and still getting people, but life goes on. And
You can't phase
that scene-
Koreans. That's what I felt like. It's like you can't fucking phase
The,
Koreans.
the
They're just
Kia
like-
the Kia is parked illegally with this license plate number happening in the background was very much
I know
life's
you guys
going
died,
on even
but
through
like
your suffering.
somebody needs to take care of this fucking Kia.
So Gangdu gets like zipped up in a bag and then brought to the hospital, but then unzipped from a bag, and then the whole family's together in the hospital, and they let Gangdu keep his phone, which is nice of them. To this whole movie, they let him keep his phone, which is really nice
It's
of
a
them.
lot different than what would happen in an American movie where everybody would be isolated from one another and they would end up communicating through like holes through walls or some
Morse
nonsense.
code, or
Yeah.
somebody would have stuck a phone into their ass or something.
Right.
Yeah.
They weren't prisoners. They were just patients at that point.
So they're all at the hospital now, and that's when Gangdu eats a horrible can.
Yeah, they tell him not to eat. They literally say, don't fucking eat. You have potentially a virus. You need to not eat so we can do these tests and make sure everything's okay. First thing he does is sneak in a fucking can of little mini squids or something and
it's
start eating it.
And then his daughter calls him from the phone.
Beyond the grave.
Yeah, beyond the grave.
Yeah, it turns out she's not dead. She was captured by the what is it? Does the monster have a name?
No,
No.
All right.
just the
Good.
mom.
You know what? An American movie would have named
Gwoemul.
it. Wom.
Gwoemul.
Wom.
Well, I mean, I think we missed one piece of the earlier scene where, like, Gangdu's talking to her about the cell phone and he's saving up money to get her a new one.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's like, this one is a piece of junk. It never gets any service. So it's interesting that then, like, later, somehow, he gets this call from her.
From the sewer, which
Yeah.
is, but it's a shitty phone call. It barely works, and her battery dies.
You know
in the
what?
middle of it.
Every teenager thinks that their stuff is garbage, even when it's not.
Yeah.
Teenagers are jerks.
But it let
Self-entitled
him
girl.
know she was alive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now Gangdu knows, but nobody will believe him. The police don't believe him.
Everybody's like, it's the virus. You're
Which
kooky.
drove me fucking bananas. I know it's an old phone. It still has a call log on it. I've never had a cell phone that have a call log on it.
Like, why is that not even?
It was never even
mentioned.
considered in this movie. There's
Yeah.
a few plot holes. The stuff with the cell phone is the biggest plot hole. It's like a couple of times that cell phone comes into play, and it could have been all he needed to prove that his daughter was still alive. He doesn't do that.
Yeah,
It's
I agree.
kills me. But nobody believes him. Nobody looks at his phone. He sounds like a crazy man.
Yeah, they write him off as crazy.
Well, he acts like a fucking crazy person in this
True.
movie.
I mean, if you're
He's not even using complete sense at this point.
you
He's not
go
using
from
complete
you go
sentences.
from the grief of losing your only daughter to being locked up in a hospital to getting a call from the daughter you thought was dead. You're probably going to be a little fucking wacky.
Yeah.
But he was really incoherent. That's the point. He
I
was
would
super
probably
incoherent.
be incoherent too.
They try to explain that later. His grandpa explains it later. His dad explains it later, but it's still super incoherent. And they're like, it must be the fever. He's acting like a fucking idiot. He didn't just say, my daughter, she called me from the sewer
Right.
with the cell phone I gave her.
I mean, it's literally, you know, it's grief. It's a virus. There are a lot of.
At least he believes he has a virus. And he was like, which can affect your thinking. And he was just like, sewer, daughter, like, it's like, okay.
He's in panic mode. While I agree that not looking at the call log is a big.
His family
waste
sure
of
didn't
time.
fucking help him very much because his dad, sure, they're in panic mode, but his dad, the girl's grandfather, who I call grandfather through this whole thing, they're in panic mode, but he's not in too much panic to call and like figure out how to escape and hire some people to come get them out of the hospital.
Yeah, so dad, grandpa or dad or who you want to call, whatever. What did we call it? Did
I
he
just
have a
call him
nickname?
Grandpa
You just call him
for the whole thing.
grandpa?
Yeah, granddad.
Whatever. They've got a plan
Old
to
man.
escape this hospital because they just can't just leave because
They're
they
in quarantine.
think, yeah, they're quarantined. So clearly getting out of the hospital is more important to grandpa than the safety of the rest
people.
of Korea.
They escape. They get out. Since the police apparently don't have guns, or at least those security guards or police didn't have guns.
Yeah, that security guard certainly didn't.
They get in. They run out to the parking lot. They just get into a van that was waiting for them. That they hired somebody to come pick them up, and they left. It wasn't that difficult. Honestly, it was a pretty simple.
Once
escape.
again, big difference between an American movie and a Korean movie.
That would have been a
because
20-minute scene in America.
it would have been a crazy action sequence with lots of guns. There would have been a car chase. It would have dragged on.
Will the Park family save Yansu from the deadly xeno lizard, or will they all become delicious slime-covered snacks? When we return, those questions will be answered and more.
The virus has definitely invaded his brain, just as we suspected.
I agree.
It's in the frontal lobe. Man has no previous history of mental disorder, and yet he shows such strong symptoms of dementia.
I concur. But now he's obviously completely delusional.
This man's brain's our last hope.
His brain?
Yes. The virus must be in here. It has got to be in here.
All right, and we're back from our quick break here, and we have a couple of beers that we'd like to talk about before we get back into the thick of it. With the
love
movie.
beer. Love it.
You know, I'm a fan
it.
generally. I like beer.
Beer.
So
What kind of beer?
we got what kind of beer? We got Dogfish Head. Are they both from Dogfish Head?
No.
No. Okay, so we've got a Dogfish Head
And a New Holland.
and a New Holland. The Dogfish Head was the Flesh and Blood. That's
Yeah.
our themed beer.
That's a themed beer. we picked this beer because they're all family, so they're all flesh and blood. But there's also lots of flesh and blood in this
Oh,
movie.
there's so much flesh and blood. You
Yeah.
know what? There's not really that much flesh and
Lots
blood.
of flesh,
Yeah. I mean, lots of
shiny flesh.
not much blood.
Yeah, it was good beer. It's Let me read what this thing is. It's
It's a beer. It's in a can. It's an IPA.
It's a well hopped IPA
Well hopped.
brewed
That's a
with
good
orange
description.
peel, lemon flesh,
Lemon flesh.
and blood orange
Blood orange
juice.
juice. Blood orange juice.
Honestly, this beer's awesome. I like
It's
this
all
one.
right.
For me, for my taste buds.
I like this one too.
This is I'm into it. This is a super drink it for me.
Same via Liz.
It just
What about the Catherine? You tasted it. You didn't go crazy.
Yeah, it's not my favorite, but sometimes it's harder with the fruity things.
it's okay, Catherine. Our guest can be wrong.
Yeah. Look at Brian. He doesn't drink at all.
It's
Right?
not too sweet. The aftertaste is good.
Citrusy.
I really enjoy it. And then we also had the what is this? The
Passion
Well,
Blaster.
did I
Passion
get to
Blaster
talk about
from
the flesh
New
and blood?
Holland.
Oh, Greg, you said you didn't care for it. What do you care? What do you say?
What? I can't have an opinion. So the flesh and blood I don't think it's what I wanted today, but if I were out drinking, I would order this again.
Right.
It's like I dealt with everything today so far, and this beer is not what I was looking. Honestly, what I wanted to drink right now is Miller Lite.
Just want to pound some
Just
Millers.
give me some generic beer flavored alcohol beer
Water.
stuff.
Yeah, and then so you can put 6 down and start to feel fuzzy and feel good about your day.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a pretty intense flavor for what I was expecting. I mean, it's an IPA, so it's hoppy.
We did to you a lot, which isn't your favorite.
I certainly wasn't picking out any of the various citrus flavors.
Woo! It's 7.5% alcohol too.
That did the job. That
Yeah.
for sure was true.
Yeah, it is a working beer.
It is a working beer. But no, it was fine. It was fine. I would give it a drink it.
Give it a drink it.
I would give it a drink it.
That's how
But-
we rate the beers. What do you think? What would you give this? Don't drink it, or maybe? If it was given to you, I think it's the middle. Given to me.
Oh, well,
no.
drink it. Yeah.
Drink it.
Free drink it.
Well,
Free
I mean,
drink,
no,
buy it,
Dogfish Head
or
is-
pass.
Dogfish Head rarely for me can go wrong.
Okay.
All right.
So what about this other one? This Passion
Liz
Blaster, which is a
really
fruit
was
cocktail.
passionate about talking about
Yeah.
this one. Getting
Talk
all
to
up
us
in
about
my
Passion
biz.
Too
Blaster.
sweet.
Hmm.
It's really sweet and really fruity.
So where are we in the movie there? We'll go to Richard.
Hold on. So anyways, this is where we're at, Greg. So they show up with the criminal organization who picked the whole family up at the hospital in that van, and they're like, okay, with the grandpa.
The
they're like,
coolest, ugliest bean escape van.
I
I
loved it.
loved it.
Yeah, the van was ugly and awesome.
Shuttle bus.
And they
Bean
showed up
bus.
there at the hideout, and they were like, listen, you got to give us like $12,000 because we got you a couple of guns, we got you some flashlights, we got you a van. We had to push a cop out of the van, so that's going to cost you $1,000 more. Basically, every dollar that Grandpa had, and he had to give him all of his
They
credit
build it
cards.
like my doctor bills the insurance company.
Yeah.
Like I look at that breakdown and it seems like an awful lot of way too much.
It was like, and it was hard, so another $1,000.
It was challenging. So
And this guy has a big knife, cut your face off. So
Yeah,
give us
I mean,
everything you have.
what
So
are you gonna do? Tell him no?
Exactly. He gave him everything, all his credit cards, everything he had.
Yeah.
But they have guns, which this movie doesn't use a whole lot, but he has some guns, which seems like a big deal in Korea. They have some flashlights, and they have a map of the sewer that was photocopied in the back of a used piece of paper.
Right.
And they take that to go try to find the girl, Gangdu's daughter, who's trapped in the sewer, who we do find out is down in the sewer with a bunch of other dead bodies, and she's the only one alive still. The monster keeps dropping off these like slimy dead bodies from its mouth. Like it captures them in its mouth and then spits them up to eat later. So it puts all these dead bodies in the sewer, and she's the only one alive for some reason. I don't know why she gets to live.
Yeah, because I mean the monster didn't really plan on.
Her being alive.
Anything but slime bodies.
Yeah.
There's only slime bodies.
He just wanted juicy, wet, slimy stuff, and instead he got this little girl that keeps trying to escape.
There's a part in the scene. So they're like Gangdu's running behind the van while they're gonna go try to go rescue his daughter, and he's running behind the van because he wants to disinfect himself before he gets there.
Yeah, I
He
mean,
thinks the car exhaust is gonna disinfect them. This is when we meet the two new kids, Greg. They
Those
were
are
hiding
the-
in the sewer originally.
Yeah.
So like the family gets into the sewer, and they're fucking around in there. One of them gets scared and shoots off a gun, and the kids are like, "What the fuck? Why are people shooting guns in the sewer?" And they run out of the sewer, and we start following them for a little bit. And these kids, this movie does like kind of like walk around the edges of poverty in South Korea. The Park family is relatively poor. In the description, they say that they're poorer than most families
Right.
in that area. And these are young kids. One kid's maybe 14 at most,
They're
15.
homeless.
Yeah,
They're
a pair
homeless.
of homeless kids with no parents.
Yeah, looking for food, like stealing food.
Yeah.
And that's how they live their lives. And this situation is great for them because they can find food because everything's abandoned.
Right. A bunch of people left because, you know.
And they actually find Grandpa's snack bar and they go in there and they steal a little bit of food.
Mhm.
I was actually this is like, in my opinion, one of the saddest parts of this movie because these two brothers are just hanging out and the Xeno lizard catches them and chases them down. And in the next scene, you see him spit up the bodies and the older brother's dead and the little brother's still alive. Captain, you were saying that the brothers were in the beginning of the movie too, right?
Yeah, they're in the beginning when you first see Gangdu at the snack shop. There's a little guy and it's little and he's reaching up to try and grab a water bottle or a cup or candy or something.
While Gangdu's asleep.
And then the older brother walks by and tells him, "No, you can't do that," and they walk away.
So we have, I mean, there's a lot of throughout kind of anti-American stuff, and we get a little more through newscasts where they're talking about bringing in something called Agent Yellow, which will kill
all
pretty
organic
much
material
anything.
within 11 kilometers of the target.
They say dozens of kilometers. They never specify the full number. They say dozens of kilometers from the center, and they are ready to deploy this to murder that thing. Rather than targeting it and hunting it down, let's just lay waste to.
At this point, not a single army member, not a single National Guard, whatever they have in Korea to like deal.
Yeah, nobody's trying to
with
find
the foreign
this
invaders. No officials are shooting guns at this thing. Nothing. Like if this was an American movie, you would have tanks and helicopters and National Guard or whatever here. Nothing. There are no officials with weapons who are going after this thing at all, other than some guys in hazmats just trying to like clean up the bodies and stuff in the area.
Yeah.
It's super bizarre to me that their first choice was let's drop a chemical weapon on
let's
it.
just lay waste to this entire region and make it.
Nobody wants to understand that there's not really a virus. So the best thing to do is to say there's a virus so we can dump this thing and then hope that it'll get the monster.
Yeah, if there was like a tank and stuff, people would know there was a monster. And nobody's talking about the monster. It's a virus. There's no monster being discussed.
All
in the
news is saying it's a virus and all this.
Yeah, I guess the news never really says it's a monster
because it's all a cover-up,
it's all being covered up by this infection, and they're killing everybody that's seen the monster by saying it's an infection.
So yeah, they go after the monster with guns. That's an important aspect. And before they do that, though, they stop at the snack bar to get some snacks, and everybody's falling asleep. And Granddad's explaining to everybody why Gangdu's all fucked up. And he said that he was malnourished when his mother left him. And he goes, "I smell his farts every morning, and I can tell if it's a good day or a bad day based on his farts."
Yeah,
because he's malnourished. I was like, that must be medical science. He's pulling on right there.
Clearly a biologist.
But Granddad obviously loves him, loves Gangdu, and Gangdu's a fuck up. And he knows it. He's like, "Why'd you grab the wrong girl's hand? Like, what the fuck? It should have been obvious to you." Gangdu's always doing stuff like this, but he's telling his brothers and sister, like, you got to give this guy a chance. You got to be nice to him. It's not his fault. Right before they go hunt this creature, and they shoot it with bullets, and they do a pretty good job. And the creature kind of fucks up their little snack den a little bit, but they knock it down, and they chase it around with guns. But they can't hurt this thing with those rifles. It just isn't enough.
Grandpa finally gets in there, and he's going to try one last thing. And the dog, God, what is her name? The
aunt,
the shooty girl,
shooty
lady,
aunt.
shooty aunt comes in and interrupts him going to take his Namju. Comes in and interrupts him taking his last shot, and the monster grabs him and just straight kills him.
No, you're close. What happened was Gangdu had the last bullet. They were all out of bullets because guns and bullets aren't very common in Korea. So they were all out of bullets. Gangdu had one bullet left. He gave him his gun and said, "Here, you take my gun." Granddad was going to sacrifice himself anyways. But he goes, "I'll stop it. I have a bullet. That bullet," he's like, this bullet will kill that monster. I promise you." He was just like passionate about it. Like, "I will kill this monster with this bullet." And as he's about ready to face off against the monster, Gangdu's running away and he's counting on his hands. He goes, "Oh shit, I'm out of bullets." And turns around to go help. Right before Granddad clicks the gun and notices it's empty, and it gets smashed to death by the monster. The shooty ant was shooting arrows at it too, and it was a distraction there, but that's what it was. He was like, "No, I got this." Click. and then the monster
That's
smashes
right.
him.
One more death at the hands of the incompetent.
Yeah, Gangdu caused that death 4 minutes after his dad was telling everybody give Gangdu a chance. He's he's just a little broken.
I will say though, like if you think about all the characters and like the adult characters of the family, they all seem to try and redeem themselves, saving her.
Yeah,
Like
they're
the
brave.
grandpa was even saying, like I was a mess up when I was raising Gangdu. That's why he is the way he is.
Yeah.
So he's trying to like redeem himself. Gangdu is trying, but isn't like coming together. The aunt is trying because she like gets that nervousness, never can really. She's all in her head, and then like Drunkle.
Yeah, and Drunkle. They're all brave too.
They're all
selfless
brave.
and
They're
brave.
all trying to like.
I mean,
fight for her.
Gangdu saved a lot of people, but he got Granddad killed. He saved a lot of people at the beginning of the movie, but he got Granddad killed for sure.
Right.
And that hurt. That
That
one
was rough one.
Yeah.
I like that character a lot. And then Gangdu gives himself up to the army. He doesn't run away. The brother and sister run away, but
brother and sister run away. He starts like he runs back and covers his dad's face, and then starts to run, but then he gets stopped by the army.
Yeah,
and just kind of turns himself in, goes in. And anyway, Gangdu is taken back to another medical facility, and we kind of get 3 different stories now. Where we start with Gangdu. He's in the hospital. We have an American guy coming in and starts talking to one of the Korean doctors about, it looks like the virus has gotten to his frontal lobe.
Yeah, because he's talking crazy shit about his daughter still being alive.
Right. He's clearly hallucinating and
about
delusional.
Some fucking monster. What monster? Give me a break.
Yeah. We're gonna have to take care of that. And informs the Korean doctor that confidential, you can't tell anybody. There's actually no virus. Yeah. And this is the first time when you're watching the movie that you realize that it is all legitimately just a cover up. Right. There is no infection. The monster isn't spreading anything. It's just they don't want people to know that America has created this weird genetic freak.
Right, exactly. But kind of around this area, that's when Gangdu's brother, Drunkle, is talking to this telecom guy whose salary. And the telecom guy's going to trace the girl's phone so they can find him.
Right.
And he's like, "Why don't you come to me sooner?"
And they're buds from the political protests.
Yeah, they're old. Yeah, they're old political protests, but one guy's a sellout. And
they're both sellouts.
Yeah. So they go to the telecom office to go and trace the girl. And while they're tracing the girl, it turns out that the guy's friend is just setting him up. And there's like a dozen other, like just normal office workers hanging out in the corner who are going to catch this guy and get the
There's
reward.
a reward for turning him in.
Yeah,
because they're wanted by the government.
Yeah,
so,
according to the government.
Yeah.
So they go to do that, but it turns out that Drunkle's an escape artist. And he puts like a paperclip. And even the guy even says, "Watch out, this guy's an escape artist." He puts a paperclip in a plug, plugs it into the outlet because he notices something's wrong, and shorts out all the lights and takes off.
Lights all power off, and
before he does that, he figures out where the girl is.
Right.
Of course. And he calls his sister and goes, while he's running from all the cops and all these people, he goes, "She's under this bridge in this sewer."
He sends her a text.
Yeah, sends her a text. That's what he does. Sends her a text. He's under this bridge in the sewer, and he falls off the overpass right around the time he's sending this text and gets hurt, but nobody knows he's there. Like the cops, he escapes the cops. He falls off and they can't find him. And he manages to send a text at the last minute before he passes out, just in time for his sister to get the text.
Right.
She's surviving on top of this overpass or something, and she starts taking off and runs towards the bridge, and she gets there. Beautiful scene, by the way, the shot. So this scene is great.
Yeah.
And she gets there. She gets into the sewer, which is really clean and really awesome. And gets into the sewer where he says the girl is, and the monster's running right at her when she shows up down there. And she tries to shoot an arrow at him, but she waits. She hesitates. And he knocks her off the overpass, but it's okay. Because while she was running there, she was calling Gangdu on the phone
to say,
telling him,
"Hey, we found her.
We found her.
Here's where we're at."
And for some reason, Gangdu still has his phone. He's in this hospital, strapped in, basically.
Getting a lobotomy.
And, well, yeah, so then it goes back to the hospital. Gangdu overhears the doctor admitting there's no virus.
Yeah.
They proceed with the lobotomy. He fakes that it worked, but somehow it miraculously didn't work.
Because his brain isn't all working anyway.
It made him better.
Yeah,
his malnourishment was actually his superpower.
Anesthesia doesn't work on him. There's all sorts of weird shit about this guy that he's just a little different.
He is biologically not normal.
He escapes
and
goes to the bridge.
From there were so many people there too. I was like, there's no way.
Now, I'd like to circle back to the daughter in the sewer with the little boy.
Seju.
Seju.
Yeah.
Because I mean, she and he are making an attempt to escape from the monster. They tie together they grab everybody's clothes and start making a rope out of it so that they can try and climb out of this sewer and make an escape. And there's one of these scenes where the thing is asleep. She throws a can at it, it doesn't even stir, so she's going to make her attempt to get out of there.
Yeah, because the thing gets down there. So there's this whole while where all the thing is doing is dropping these dead bodies down there, but not really eating them. But then it starts spitting up bones.
The sewer is basically its fridge.
Yeah.
Is what it boils down to.
And she goes, oh shit, it's just keeping us here to eat us. Now she's finally putting it all together. She finally fully understands. And she goes, we got to get out of here. And the thing kind of sees her, it catches her, but doesn't catch her. She's able to hide the cubby where it can't get to her.
Right.
So then it's still down there though, and it's sleeping. So what she does is she throws a can of beer at it. It doesn't move, but she already has that rope up on the grate, and she's going to climb up, but the thing came back before she could climb up. So she goes, I'm just going to rub this thing's back and grab the rope since it's really high and I couldn't really get to it earlier. She's this tiny little Korean girl. And when that thing's fucked up.
Yeah.
That scene's fucked up because the thing was just playing cat and mouse with her. It was awake the whole time.
Was it awake?
Oh, yeah.
Because I feel like once it came to, it lashed out.
It knew exactly where she was.
It was playing games with her.
See, the thing is it grabbed her from the rope. She reaches the rope, grabs her, sets her down, and just pretends like, I'm just gonna leave you here. The second she turns, it gets up and so it's just messing with her.
That's fine. I can go with that.
That was a scary scene.
I wasn't 100% sure which way I wanted to.
I think he's just messing with her.
I was cat and mouse. She was playing with his food.
Playing with his food.
But I do want to point out that she really tries to take care of Siju in the sewer. She's really protective of him and trying to comfort him.
It's kind of her role in the movie was to take care of Siju. You figure it out at this point. You're like, oh, that's her job. Her role in this film, his role in this story is to keep this little boy alive.
And to drive everyone to get to her.
Yeah. So now we got the sister who's knocked out from the monster in the sewer. We have Gangdu running. He just escaped. He's trying to get to now the bridge where he knows his daughter is.
And Drunkle is heading over there.
And Drunkle wakes up under the bridge. And there's a homeless guy there who's super happy to help him after hitting with the bottle. But he actually helped him. He gave him a blanket and stuff. And they make Molotov cocktails. You don't know anything about this homeless guy other than the fact that he's down to party.
And also, he's badass.
Yeah. He's just like, I'm bored. Let's go. Let's go party.
Sure. Let's go. Let's go do whatever it is we're going to do with this.
He donates his booze to this party. And we have the government now who wants to unleash Agent Yellow. And the community is not excited about this.
There are protesters on the bridge saying no testing, Agent Yellow, stop the testing, blah, 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 blah.
Please don't melt.
Don't kill, bunch of people in the middle of this city. The monster grabs both of them, stuffs them in his mouth, and takes off from the sewer. So everybody's coming to the sewer, and
Gangdu gets there first, but Ant crawls up from her spot too.
He gets there, sees she's not there. Ant gets up right as this thing is blasting past her, and finally we get the family kind of reunited at this point.
Yeah.
You got somebody making Drunkle's making Molotov cocktails.
Yeah, he's just having a party in a cab. Right. He's making Molotov cocktails in the backseat of a cab.
And they're heading to protest.
And the monster actually gets into the river and starts swimming in the river towards the protest.
Yeah.
Yes. For whatever reason.
So then everybody's running
towards the
after
Agent Yellow. Thank God he did that because it would have been hard to get that Agent Yellow down into the sewer. Yeah.
And then everybody's running after the monster.
Yeah.
And they all converge on the protest.
They all want to kill that monster.
And there's this weird freaking tank hanging, expelling even more weird smoke stuff, which has been throughout this movie. Just constant scenes where they're in the hospital. There were humidifiers spraying stuff up. Yeah. When they first capture everybody in the hospital or in the memorial service, they lay down some smoke.
Now we got a face off against the monster, which we've been waiting for, and especially with
nobody really directly confronts that damn thing except at the very beginning and the very end.
This whole movie, I was waiting for Shooty Ant to be important because she shoots she's a world-class archer.
Yeah.
That seems like a really useful skill.
So they get to the protest. The monster actually gets up on land, right? The monster gets up on land. They dump the Agent Yellow. It stuns it.
It murders a bunch of people.
They drop the Agent Yellow. It stuns it. And then Gangdu gets up there and he sees little arms with the cell phone inside the mouth of this thing.
Yeah.
Oh my
God. And
he pulls out his daughter and Siju.
And Siju.
Hyunsu and Siju.
And his daughter's dead. she's dead.
Yeah, I
And
was
it's-
hoping that she didn't die.
It took a while for that to settle in.
Yeah.
A second time watching this movie, that's gonna be a lot harder to watch because I'll know she's dead this
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Did anybody else think that the monster was gonna like eat the Agent Yellow canister
I
or
was hoping
something?
so,
Because that's
yeah.
kind of where I thought that thing looked weird.
And it was inconsistent. Agent Yellow was inconsistent. So it didn't hurt any of the Park family. Are we all just naturally immune to Agent Yellow?
Yeah, I don't know what was up with that because there are other people there that had like bleeding
Blood, yeah,
from their
from their
orifices.
ears,
And they were very
eyes
clear that it
and-
would kill anything, but people were surviving it too, all over the
Right.
place. They were like, it could cause respiratory problems. There was this.
Was it? They never really make it clear. Was it supposed to just kill a certain type of
No, it was
thing, or
supposed
was
to
it supposed to
annihilate
just kill
everything.
everything that's alive? Because it seems like a really shitty chemical.
I
if
will
it
say
was
this.
supposed to kill everything and killed nothing.
Test went poorly. For
Yeah,
the Agent
there
Yellow.
you go.
Test went poorly.
Except it stunned the monster.
Yeah, it was good for the monster. Not a great warfare tech.
Right.
Like it's not going to murder
And
the
they
way you thought
shouldn't
it
be
was going to.
using chemical warfare anyway.
No, it's
but you know,
Geneva Conventions and all those things. you
right?
know.
There are rules, man.
There are rules. Well, that's this movie has a point to make as far as that stuff's concerned,
Right.
obviously. But yeah, it was dropping all the like. So he pulls those two out. The boy's still kind of alive. The girl's dead. You find out as the movie goes 5 minutes later. But
And it was clear that she protected him somehow.
oh yeah, somehow she like
from it like being eating him.
Yeah,
like,
she was
killing him.
fully embracing him.
Yeah, she
she
was
was holding his
protecting
face
him.
into his. I
In
think the
the
mucus
monster's
from the
belly.
monster what suffocates you, which is why. I think maybe the kids that are smaller are able to like breathe, where like the adults can't handle that. And
Sure,
so-
I'll
And
go
she
with that.
definitely
That's as good a
saved
reason as
him.
any.
Yeah. But like everybody, the Park family's not having this. No crying this time. They're going after that fucking thing.
We
And
got Molotov cocktail tossing, just going
Drunkle.
crazy. He threw like 6 of them at it.
my
I
favorite
mean,
though
he
is
didn't hit any of them.
he breaks one, but like
Breaks his last one.
yeah, but
He goes
Shooty
to-
Ant shows
Well,
up like fucking
Well,
Rambo.
but don't forget, homeless guy is at the top of the bridge, just
Oh,
dousing
yeah.
the thing with gasoline.
Homeless guy is the fucking hero of this movie. Shows up at the end and does the most amount of effective work against his monster.
he's
Pouring
working
gasoline. It's a
south
shower.
and sand.
smarter, not harder. That's
yeah,
for sure.
it's showering the monster with gas.
Yeah, and that's when Shooty Ant finally like shows that she can shoot the fuck.
There are a lot of redemption arcs throughout this
Mm-hmm.
movie, and that's another one of them. She comes in, stabs a marshmallow from the from the Molotov cocktail,
Rambo's this motherfucker,
and just
Yeah.
she no hesitation, she blasts it right in the fucking eyeball.
and it catches fire.
Oh yeah,
It burns.
it looks terrible.
But then Gangdu, who is obviously a master of the road sign,
Oh, and it's starting to run away. It's
Yeah,
on
that's true.
fire. It's starting to run
it's
away.
not happy. It like earlier it ran away too when they shot it. When it gets hurt, it runs away.
Right.
And Gangdu is a master with the road sign, as we saw earlier. So he just breaks the road sign
He got
again.
so much stronger by the end of this
He
movie.
stops in front of that thing, so it looks as though the monster's gonna get away, and then all of a sudden, like, out steps Gangdu with this sign,
Yeah.
It just
impales it.
yeah,
He had that thing
kebabs
sharpened.
it.
I don't know if he went out of his way to sharpen it on the concrete or what, but he gets in there and just boink,
Makes
right
a-
in its mouth.
makes a monster kebab.
And then he goes and scoops up little Siju.
He's an odd dude. He's an odd guy.
Yeah, Gangdu is
I think he
weird.
wants to take care of the boy, just like because he
She
knows
did.
that she did.
That's it. Like the movie's over, right? Like then the next scene, you see them in that in the snack shed.
Yeah, it's winter and they're in the snack
Pretty
shack on
scene.
the,
I
on
love
the
that- I
pier
love
or
that
whatever.
shot.
Or that, what,
His hair is no
riverfront.
longer bleached.
to show that
No.
he's responsible.
He looks totally
He
different.
looks
too.
great.
He
Yeah.
does.
It's as if like the Queer Eye guys came and did like a makeover on
They
him.
renovated everything from his outfit to
To the
that
snack
snack shop,
shop, to
everything.
I feel like he's not malnourished anymore. Part of it because like he's eating a lot. Like, he obviously cares a lot about food at this
Yeah,
point in the movie.
they definitely had that meal.
But
Oh my
did you
god, that all
notice what
looked
he was
good.
doing?
He was guarding the river.
Yeah,
right?
he's watching the river. He has a
Yeah,
rifle
yeah.
right there. He's ready to go.
Gandu's an idiot, but he is brave. He's a brave idiot. He wants to protect people.
So then the news does come on, but then Siju was like, "No, let's just eat our noodles.
Yeah, like
Let's just chill."
so Siju and Gangdu are like twins. They just care about food and they don't care about current events. They're not interested in watching bad news.
Yeah,
not
TV
interested in-
talks about how the United States is basically guilty of a cover up.
Yeah,
Um,
imagine that.
yeah, go figure. And that's pretty much where they end it. Just those guys eating a delicious meal.
So interesting fact, there was that like there was supposed to be a sequel, but I don't know if the sequel was supposed to be a prequel, and it never got made. And then there was like the U.S. film industry bought the rights to it and was gonna redo it, but it's like, yeah, but it's been in just development.
Yeah, limbo happens
Yeah.
to movies.
I won't like the American version because it's gonna have tanks and stuff. I like the understate statement of this movie.
Yeah.
I like how understated it is. I like that it wasn't Cloverfield again. It
And
wasn't
there's no-
Godzilla again.
The monster would have had to have been bigger. The monster would have had to have been stronger.
And it
They
wouldn't have
would've
been
had
the
to have
Americans that did the cover up. It would have been like the Russians.
Yeah, it would have been the
something.
Russians or,
would've been-
some Middle Eastern
honestly,
people. Or
In America, this has been going on for decades. We love corrupt government. It would have been not the president,
Kwame
but like,
Kilpatrick.
it would have been like the vice president again.
or
Geostorm
Yeah.
all over again.
yeah, the Geostorm. The bad guy was the vice president. Secretary of State's a bad guy a lot. Speaker of the House could be a bad guy. It's always like somebody in leadership, but not the top level of leadership.
Right. Just high enough that they have got a lot of power.
We'd make it the Russians right now. I think maybe it'd be the Russians.
Yeah.
The Russians did it. The Russians created the lizard monster,
Right.
lizard morph,
With their chemical weapons, biological warfare, blah blah
with
blah.
their
blah,
hacking
blah.
of the election. They
Right.
created a monster.
Yeah.
I'm into it. I'm into it.
And
Metaphor.
even the family gets redemption, right? Because the daughter dies and he gets a new child instead.
A better
It's
child,
just-
an improved child.
It's just
male child.
redemption circle.
No, I really did honestly
throughout
feel
the
like
movie.
he got a child more suited to his personality, which his daughter was an outgoing, like kind of looked like a studious kind of person.
It was the natural trade for him. He would have done it anyway.
Yeah, he was
Even if
traded
they
up
both
anyways.
survived, he would have been like, "Siju, why don't you come home? You, do you have a name?" Yeah, it would have been over for her.
Yeah, it would have been, yeah.
Young
You
Sue, go to college.
Yeah,
Go hang out with Drunkle. You were doing it
Yep,
anyway.
Drunkle's got you. And they all survived. It was just the oldest and youngest of the family that bit it. All right. So with that, we are going to take a quick break, and we will all share our thoughts on this 2-hour gem of a sci-fi monster movie, horror, suspense movie.
party. It was
Party? A party? Yeah,
It's
you
good.
call it a party.
It was
We're
great.
broke. It's broken. Break time.
break time.
We broke.
I've heard your daughter's still alive. Why didn't you contact the police or the military, a human rights organization, something?
Football Liz says we're back.
We are back.
So we're back.
Let's talk about this. Want to hear how I felt about this movie, Greg?
Yeah,
Wanna hear the
let's
Richter
get
scale?
let's get to the talkies.
All right. I love this movie.
You loved it. Great.
I didn't know what to think at first. I like the other movies, Snowpiercer, that this guy did, and I like I haven't seen Onkia or whatever.
Okja?
Okja, that's what it is. But I'm interested. I just don't want to cry. I thought all the tone shifting was really fun, and I thought that it was super entertaining. I didn't realize that 2 hours went by so quickly. It was a 2-hour movie, and usually these movies I have to take breaks because some are pretty bad. Armageddon was 4 breaks. This movie was 0 breaks. I didn't take any breaks during this movie. I give it an 8.3 on the Richter scale.
Wow.
Yeah.
As many 8s and points and 3s.
Yeah, it's one of each of those things.
All right.
Yeah. Elizabeth.
Who do we want to go to the Liz, or do we want to go to Christina?
Christina. It's Spanish.
Still not my name.
If you had a name, what would it be?
You could try harder.
You can pick any name you want now.
Christina.
Christina.
You've said it so much now. I think I do like
It
it.
is kind of a pleasant name. So, Catherine, what did you think of this movie?
I obviously recommended it. I love this film for a lot of different reasons. So for me, I feel like it has everything. So if you're really into like a touching story, if you like kind of black comedy, if you like action, if you like thrillers, or if you're just a fan of films and like seeing the different types of like elements a director will use, like the lack of sound or using sound or how it builds or all of those things, it's really entertaining. So please check it out and see more Korean films. There's a lot of great stuff out there.
Now, you have to give it a number based on the Catherine scale.
Yeah.
And you have to say it.
Like Hurricane Christina says.
The Christina
The Christina scale.
Hurricane Christina.
Oh, then I would definitely give it a 9.
Kath Richter scale? 9.0 on the Kath Richter scale? Is that what we're
Yeah.
going to go with?
Yeah.
All right, let's go with that.
Catherine Richter scale.
And-
Oh,
Okay, so this was one of the most entertaining movies we've seen for the podcast so far.
She won't even know.
I know, though,
She doesn't. She can't hear us.
but I
Send
do
the
a little
room.
bit.
We're all looking at each other. She knows.
Titanic was 2.5 hours long, and Armageddon was 2.5 hours long. And they were both entertaining, but also that was way too long. And even though this movie was 2 hours, it wasn't that painful to watch, at least as much as those two were. So I would give it a 9 on the Lister scale.
9.
I really enjoyed it.
All right. For me, same thing applied. It did not feel like a 2 hour long movie. It went by quickly. I didn't feel like I had to be doing something else. And I think part of it was just the shifts in tone keeping me interested and keeping me on my toes trying to figure out what's going on. And it wasn't a slow paced movie. They didn't waste a lot of time. It was an interesting watch.
0 out of 19 Aerosmith songs.
There were no Aerosmith songs.
Oh
in
my
it,
God.
which is terrific.
1 gold star for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No helicopters.
Just a drone.
What?
I do not
Cute
remember a
pet
single
rats.
helicopter. There were rats.
I got confused when there was a little bit of English they
I
used
got
in this movie.
confused when it was
because
my turn to talk about the movie and everybody
shut up.
decided to
Yeah, well, you
interrupt
should shut up.
my review.
Could you shut up? You let me
I
talk?
could shut up. I'm not gonna.
You have to explicitly use the words Gregster scale.
Yeah.
I didn't even get to that point. You guys started yakking.
Yeah, well, you're like a lack of yak, so we had the yak in
I'm
front
sorry
of you.
that I made points that made you think. Maybe next time I'll try not to do that, so I
Maybe
can
next
go
time, don't
interrupted like
encourage the
you two did.
conversation if you're not welcoming
Fuck your
it.
conversations.
Exactly.
Anyway, Richard, what were you saying? Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Impossible. I just chose to let you talk. I felt
You
bad.
did not.
I felt bad.
You son of a bitch.
What you don't see now is that they're holding hands and just made
Honey.
up. They made up.
Hands.
Those hard hands.
Again, it got weird.
I'm going with an 8.2 on the Gregter scale, by the way, for this movie. I finally got it out.
Really high.
Yeah, highly recommend it.
Well, good.
I would go see it again.
Oh my God.
It's good as hell.
Can I go home? I've been here for so long.
Yeah, thanks for listening to another episode of What a Disaster, and thanks again to what is it, Katrina,
Christina.
It doesn't even
Christina,
matter anymore.
Catherine,
It doesn't matter. I've had people call me
Kathy,
that.
old Reenie Tin.
I am not Kathy.
Oh,
I
you
will
are
stop
now.
you there.
For suggesting this movie
Draw the line.
and coming out to be a part of the podcast with us. We will be back next week, probably.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why not.
But in the meantime, feel free to check out our show notes. We got information on the beer on there. We got contact info. We got the brewery info, all that good stuff. You can follow us at PodWad, PODWAD on the Twitter. You can follow us on the Facebook at What a Disaster if you find us there.
You
We
can now
are
follow us if you choose.
WAD
Find us there.
Podcast on Instagram.
Yeah, you should follow us there though.
You definitely should subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform, assuming we're on it. And if we're not, tell us, please, for the love of God. And we're working on getting a new phone in, but you can call us, text us, leave us a voicemail. I might answer, Richard might answer, Liz will
might
probably never answer.
Yeah,
She's scared of the phones.
Yeah, she hates it.
Oh,
It's too
bad.
red. She doesn't like the big red
crippling.
phone. Yeah.
It's
The number is 209-781-9113.
9113?
Yeah, 9113. You can
9113.
9113.
911.
Don't start with
Dash
9113. Do
Don't
not
start with that. Yeah,
you
start with the 209-781, then
Yeah.
911.
And then the emergency happens.
Don't emergent. If you have an emergency, don't call us.
Oh
For the
my
love
God.
of God, hang up and call
Yeah.
the straight 911.
Yeah.
Once again, this is Greg, and we've got Liz and Richard, and for all of us here
Christina.
at the What a Disaster podcast, this is Christina saying see ya.
Yeah.
Michelle.
No, it's because I'm bad with names.
Would
And Greg
you-
knows that.
Well, now I can just really screw you all up, and you can just call me by my Korean name. I'll just add another Korean name.
Let's
to
do it.
this
What's your Korean name?
It's Hana.
Oh, you know what? You gave that up when you came to America.
You know what that?
So-
You know what that means in Korean?
Hannah?
No, Hana.
No. Well, I mean, in Korean, it means Hannah.
No.
It's just a direct
wait.
translation,
it
isn't
means
it?
one or single.
Pancakes? Does it mean pancakes?
No.
Oh,
No.
it'd be good if
The
it meant
number-
pancakes.
Oh man, pancakes would be a much better
Yeah.
meaning. Well, you could just tell people that nobody'd know.
I love your dog. Okay.
Thank
She
you.
won me over.
Well, I'm glad, and thank you for coming. Oh, thank you again for coming.
Thanks for
I
having me,
appreciate
all
your
of you.
patience with the nonsense of today's recording.
You could make an Indian restaurant called Nonsense.
A what?
The look on everyone else's face when Rick just said that.
An Indian restaurant.
An Indian restaurant called Nonsense.
Nonsense.
Like the bread naan.
Yeah, the bread naan.
Yeah. Are the kids both still alive? I've been checking in on the camera and everything.
They like an entire bag of Doritos. That's why they were so quiet.
That was mostly me.